When you picture China, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For most of us, it's probably one of two images, right? But those images, well, they don't even begin to tell the real story.
Yeah, on the one hand, you've got these incredible, gleaming megacities, Shanghai, Beijing, just these symbols of insane economic progress. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, you get this picture of, struggling, remote, rural villages. But here's the thing, those two extremes, that's not the whole picture, not even close.
Exactly. What about the nearly 1 billion people who are caught in the middle? Because that is where the real story of China is unfolding today. And it's a story that, honestly, most of us never hear about. So if we want to find the real China, we need to go to its heartland. We're talking about its county towns. Now, these places aren't the giant cities we see on the news, but they're not tiny, isolated villages either. Think of them as the crucial link, the administrative and economic centers for almost everyone in the country.
And the scale here is, well, it's just mind-boggling. We're talking about 90% of China's entire land area. This is home to 900 million people. Let that sink in for a second. That's more than double the population of the entire European Union. This isn't some backwater. This is China's actual center of gravity. But, and this is a big but, for a lot of people, especially the younger generation, this heartland is turning into a dead end.
You see, for decades, the dream was simple. Get out of your county town and make it big in the city. But now, the big cities are just brutally competitive. So a lot of young people are trying to reverse course. They're thinking, hey, maybe I'll go back home for a slower, better life. But the reality they walk into, it's anything but.
I mean, just listen to this. Jobs are hard to find, wages are too low, there's no future, just waiting to die. It's just brutal. And this isn't some isolated comment. This is the feeling you hear over and over again from people who've gone back. This isn't just feeling a little let down. This is deep, profound despair. And that right there is the core of the problem. You have this dream of a cozy, slower life crashing head-on into the harsh reality of complete economic stagnation. It's a massive collision. And it's not just about hurt feelings. This crisis is built on some really deep, really broken economic foundations. So, let's unpack that. Why are these county towns stalling out? Why does it feel so hopeless? Well, it turns out the entire economic engine has failed. The three traditional pillars that held everything up for years, they've all crumbled at the same time. So what are they? First, manufacturing just packed up and left. Factories went looking for even cheaper places to operate. Second, you've got the huge property crisis sweeping China. That means construction, which used to be a massive source of jobs, has just ground to a halt. And third, all the local shops on Main Street, they've been absolutely crushed by giant e-commerce sites. Any one of these would be bad enough. All three at once, it's a total knockout punch. But believe it or not, it gets even worse. The problem isn't just that these towns can't create new money, they can't even keep the money they do have. There's this phenomenon called the siphon effect. It's like a giant vacuum cleaner is just sucking all the wealth out of the local community. So where's it all going? Well, look at this. A tiny little bit of it actually stays in town. A bigger chunk gets spent in the major cities when people travel to shop. But the biggest culprit, by far, online platforms. Think about it. Every single time someone orders something online or gets food delivered through an app, that money doesn't go to a local business owner. Nope. It gets zapped straight to the bank accounts of tech giants in Beijing or Shanghai. The local economy is just being bled dry. Okay, so you might be thinking, if the economy is so broken, why doesn't somebody just fix it? And to answer that, we have to peel back another layer. This isn't just about economics anymore. We have to look at who really runs the town, because it's a completely closed system and it's controlled by a surprisingly small number of people. It all comes down to this, a power triangle. You've got three key groups. First, the officials who hold all the political power. Second, the big-shot businessmen who are tight with those officials. And third, these, let's call them gray figures, who control things at the street level. These three groups are completely intertwined. Let's break down how it works, starting from the top.
Okay, so at the very top of the pyramid, you have the county party secretary. And forget what you think a mayor does. This person has absolute power. They decide who gets a job, who loses a job, and where every single yuan of public money goes. And they build this power base by putting their trusted people in key positions. And get this, often through strategic marriages between powerful families. It creates this tiny, insulated bubble of rulers.
Then you have the businessmen. The way this often works is through something called a red glove. Here's the deal. An official needs a big, flashy project to get a promotion, let's say a shiny new industrial park. A friendly businessman, the red glove, steps in to build it, usually getting a ton of government money and resources to do it. The official looks great and gets promoted. The businessman gets super rich. And the town? It's usually left with an empty, useless building.
And that brings us to the third corner of the triangle, the gray figures. Now, these aren't some kind of high-tech master criminals. They're much more ground level. They control the stuff that's hard for the government to manage. Things like having a total monopoly on sand and gravel for construction. Or they become road bosses controlling local bus routes. Or they run all the cash-heavy businesses like bars and karaoke joints. They operate in the shadows where official power doesn't reach.
So you see how it works? The officials need the businessmen for projects. The businessmen need the officials for contracts. And the gray figures control the essential services that make everything run. They all need each other. And what you end up with is a totally locked down system. If you're an outsider, say one of those young people coming home with a great idea, you have zero chance. There's no way in.
So with the economy stalled and the power structure completely locked up, what on earth does the future look like?
Well, the financial numbers are genuinely scary. And the only potential path forward, it's probably not what you're expecting. Check out this number. The total debt for these county-level governments is estimated to be around 40 trillion yuan. That is almost 6 trillion US dollars. It's a number so big it's hard to even comprehend. Many of these towns can't even make the interest payments on their loans, never mind paying back the actual debt. They are, to put it bluntly, completely broke.
So if everything's broken, what's actually still profitable? Well, it boils down to just three things. Restaurants, but mostly because they're propped up by a government official spending public money. Education, but it's all focused on the one good school everyone's desperate to get their kids into. And healthcare, because you have an aging population with no other options. Notice what's missing? Anything that actually creates new wealth or drives real growth.
And all of this leads to a really fundamental question. Is the goal for every single one of these towns to become some kind of mini city? Is building more empty industrial parks and apartment towers really the answer? Or is it time for something completely different? A concept the source calls a great regression. Not a collapse, but a deliberate choice to go back to something simpler.
And this idea is captured perfectly in this final, beautiful line of poetry. The old magistrate is gone. In the peach blossom spring, one can still till the fields. It's this powerful idea that maybe, just maybe, the future isn't about chasing some ghost of an industrial past. Maybe, now that the old system is broke and broken, the real opportunity is to return to the land, to farming, to a more sustainable way of life. It leaves us with a pretty startling question. What if the way forward for China's heartland is actually to go back?